Hey everybody, Kyle Sasser here. Great Things Tampa Bay, and probably ask yourself, hey, it's been a little while since I've seen an update on this podcast or YouTube channel, and it's definitely entirely my fault. It's not that I don't like you. Just been very busy running around doing the real estate things, but we're getting back to it here, and we definitely have a lot of changes that have happened. We've had a little thing called, COVID come through, which definitely disrupted some things. And, just a lot of comings and goings so far as, restaurants and stuff like that. So I thought I would take a little bit of time here to go back through previous episodes and give you a little update on where everybody is at. And I do have a cheat sheet because I do not remember all of the episodes that I've done off the top of my head. So I'm just going to run through these real quick. Once again, if this has popped up in your feed, I want to thank you for staying subscribed for so long. And other than that, I'm sure we will do some additional updates for you soon. Keep your eyes peeled. So to start off with, Urban Brew BBQ was our #1 episode. Urban Brew BBQ is still around. They have definitely moved to a new location, and they have been for a while. They actually moved a little further west up Central Avenue. They're still doing great barbecue. I would say not as good as it used to be. And I'm sorry if if Urban Brew BBQ is watching this, but it is not as knock your socks off amazing as it used to be. Not sure what changed or whatever, if it's just a new location or a new focus, but definitely it has gone down a few notches. But the new location is definitely cooler, definitely a lot more space. You can sit there and play shuffleboard, have some bourbon, eat some barbecue. Pretty cool spot. Episode 2, we covered pass-a-grille and some relevant restaurants around that area. Now, Hurricane is still there. However, they are not doing breakfast anymore, so please do not go to Hurricanes looking for breakfast. The Seahorse, which is on the other side of the island, is there and is doing breakfast, so you can walk down there and grab you some breakfast. Celine, which was our other recommended restaurant there, has been long closed. I don't even know if that shows up on a Google search anymore, and was a little bit of a loss because it was a pretty tasty place. And pass-a-grille, the beach is still there, so you're definitely still able to go there and check it out. And definitely be sure to get there before about 11 o'clock because it gets busy. Episode 4, we covered Bella's over in Tampa. Bella's Italian Cafe. They're still there. They've been there since the 80s, and they're still there. They're still doing confetti spaghetti. They're still doing Vesuvio, and they are still delicious. Check them out. Episode 5, we covered Bob Heilman's, another long-standing tradition. And Bob Heilman's is still there and serving serving food. It's they had a little bit of a limited menu the last time I was there because of COVID, so they might not have the liver and all of the fancy stuff. They did have the relish tray still, though. I was happy to report. Episode 9, we had some big changes here. Very sad. All of the World, which was located up in Tarpon Springs, has closed. They are changing their business, closing the chapter on that, moving on to something else. So very sad. For those of you that don't know, and just to kind of hang it over your head, they did infused olive oils and vinaigrettes, and they were absolutely delicious. And they also had an amazing cheese selection from Europe. So if you missed it, you missed out. A couple other things we covered there in Tarpon Springs, which was Unique Finds. They are now closed. They've been closed for a few years. And the other antique store we covered was the Court of Two Sisters, which is still there, although not in the original building. They've actually moved across the street. I would say they have a little bit more of a curated feel and definitely not as much stuff. One thing I noticed was that they didn't have quite as many chandeliers as they had originally. Episode 10, we covered William Dean Chocolate. They are still there. They are still making amazing chocolate with fancy designs and gold spray and all sorts of fancy things. So if you're needing to get somebody some chocolate for Valentine's Day, be sure to check out William Dean. Episode 11, we covered Bricados. So Bricados is a long-standing Tampa tradition at making very good Cuban sandwiches and absolutely amazing deviled crab. They are still making deviled crabs larger than a fist with tons of crab meat in it, and is literally, if you go there, that's what you need to get. The Cuban sandwich is also huge. However, it's an overwhelming size. It's too much. It's too much. But I mean, there's other pretty good Cuban sandwiches around town. The main thing is that, like a Cuban sandwich, you can get a good sandwich in any number of places, but their double crab is far and above the absolute best that you will find anyway in Tampa. And if you're in Pinellas County, if you're in St. Pete, and you're like, hey, would it be worth making the drive over there to get the double crab? The answer is yes. I have even had people come from Orlando to meet me there, and they said this is literally the best deviled crab I've ever had, and was well worth the drive. Episode 12, we interviewed World Thrift. So that was Alessandro and crew. And if you remember, they were doing like pop-ups and, little food truck things. They are still definitely kicking it in the area. And they actually have a storefront over in Seminole now, which is pretty cool. So check them out. They definitely still have the vintage clothes. And I have bought a few things from them over the years. So be sure to check them out. Episode 13, we talked about Tapas, which was kind of a workaday Cuban restaurant over in Falkenberg, kind of close to the Falkenberg jail. There's a little commerce park there. Tapas is still there. They're still doing Cuban food, beans and rice, and Cuban sandwiches, and still highly recommend them. Episode 15, I talked about Tampa Bay club sports, and they shut down a little bit because of COVID. Obviously having people running around and heavily breathing on each other playing sports is, a little bit of a risk so far as COVID goes, but they're fully back to it now. So if you're interested in a adult league of some sort, whether it's tennis or golf or baseball, softball, well, I don't know if they do baseball, softball, soccer, volleyball, anything like that, be sure to check out Tampa Bay Club Sports. Episode 18 talked about Hollow and Franklin. They are closed. I think they've had maybe 2 other restaurants through that building in the time since they've closed. And basically they kind of hit some struggles with whenever Armature Works opened, which is sad because actually I like the food at Hall on Franklin better. However, location of Armature Works is definitely better. You have the view of the river. But if you're wondering, hey Kyle, where's the episode of Armature Works? It's because I don't really think Armature Works is that great. Plus everybody knows about it. And so it's like, why am I going to talk about something that I don't think is that amazing other than the view? And it's something that people already know about. It's kind of like telling people, hey, like when you go to New York, hey, go to Times Square. It's like everyone's like, oh yeah, of course. Episode 19, I talked about Markets for Makers. So they took a little hiatus, but they are back to it. So they're hosting markets around the states that I know of. I know they had one in Miami not too long ago, and I believe they had one in Ybor City as well. I did visit them for a holiday market a few years ago, pre-COVID. Or actually, no. I think that was right when COVID hit, actually. It's been a couple years. But Markets for Makers, they're still kicking it, and they're still doing that, curated market feel. Episode 21, Dog Bar. Dog Bar is still there, and you can still go there and take your dog and have some beers while your dog runs around and plays around. Still a great place. The surrounding area around it has definitely changed. Taco Bus is no longer there. That's been obliterated. And they have built a couple new little restaurants and pub breweries there. If it's been there since a while since you've been down Central Avenue in that area, be sure to go check it out. But yes, Dog Bar is still there and still doing their thing. Episode 22, we talked about Triumph down in Bradenton. And they are still there. There's still zip lines and fun things to do, obstacle courses. The one that they had planned up north in Pasco, that one did not pan out. That one actually, if I remember correctly, that one never opened, which, unfortunate. But the one in Bradenton is still there. You can still go and have a fun time doing a ropes course and swinging on ropes and, trying to do American Ninja stuff. It's definitely great for like a birthday party or some sort of fun event out like that. Episode 23, we talked about the Florida State Fair versus the Strawberry Festival. As I'm sure you know, those are both very well known and are both still around. Some of the Strawberry Festival music acts they have lined up is just making me feel old because I'm just like, oh my God, this guy was a huge star and now he's doing fairs and festivals. Oof. But I guess that's the price of being over 40 now. Anyway, they're still there. They're still doing their thing. Episode 27, I talked about Chief's Creole Cafe in the Deuces area of St. Petersburg, which is just south of Central. And they are also still there, still making absolutely delicious Creole food. If you have a hankering for some Creole or Cajun dishes, be sure to swing by there and try it out. The etouffee is top notch, and they also have some of the best fried okra that I ever have that they actually bring out, kind of like bread in an Italian or French restaurant, but at Chief's they bring out fried okra. Episode 29 was Piccolo Italian Bistro over in, what area would that be? West of the Hillsborough River was where they were located at. Still there, still kicking it, still making some delicious Italian, although it has been a couple years since I've been there. But every time I was there before, it was amazing. But if you go there and it's terrible, just know it's been a couple years since I've been there. Episode 30, I went and interviewed Coca Guitars, who is a luthier. He manufactures guitars here in the Tampa Bay area. He is still there, still making absolutely beautiful guitars. Long story short, I'm basically trying to focus more on things that are going to have very long lasting. They've either been around forever or they are going to stay around forever. And they're also worth traveling to do. I'm not really looking to be like the breaking news, cutting edge, this is what's opening this weekend thing, because honestly, I don't have time to keep up with all that stuff. And honestly, most of the stuff that's opening up is not that good. Sorry, it's the truth. There are a few standouts, but I really want to focus more on the long-standing hidden corners of Tampa Bay that you probably wouldn't know about. Continuing on. Episode 31 talked about Grady Goat Yoga over in Thanodisassa. They're still there, and you can still go do yoga with goats jumping all around on you. I know the goat yoga fad has kind of calmed down a little bit, but personally, I still enjoy both being around goats. I think they're pretty hilarious and cool animals. The yoga definitely also helps as well. They're still there and still doing things for a great cause, because all proceeds from that, they donate it to the Grady Goat Foundation. Episode 35, I interviewed the Gator Crusader, and he is still out crusading for gators. Not 100% sure where he is at, but he is I don't know if he's still at the Suncoast Primate Sanctuary, but he might actually, I think he is, because I saw a video of him in the pen enclosure that I interviewed him in. Pretty sure. But he is also very active on social media. He's also been on television a few times recently in the last couple years since we've interviewed him. So it looks like he's been getting the word out there for how cool alligators are. So congratulations to the Gator Crusader, and keep up the great work. Episode 37 was Gateway to India, and Gateway to India is still there and still doing absolutely mind-blowingly good Indian food. Honestly, I just want to reiterate from that episode that not only is Gateway to India one of the best Indian places in the area, it's actually one of the best and most consistent restaurants in the area. Definitely, it's probably not to everyone's preference for sure, but so far as consistency, quality ingredients, and preparation, service is always phenomenal, and can't recommend it enough. It is worth the drive to go there and get the tikka masala, hands down, and the rose coffee. Make sure to get that too. Episode 40, we did the plant museum at the University of Tampa, and they're still there. They had a little bit of restrictions with COVID and all that, just museums kind of took a hit with that, but they are still there and still curating Henry Plant's legacy, both for the area and for the college specifically. One of the interesting things is there has been, and this is completely unrelated to the museum's awesome. You should go check it out. A lot of cool stuff there, and antique items and chairs and furniture, and just really cool to see. But someone has been online, I have been seeing people posting anti-Henry Flagler propaganda for some reason. So Henry Flagler, for those of you that don't know, he didn't do as much on this side, but he did build the railroad that goes along the east coast of Florida and also the overseas highway down to Key West. And he was one of the, railroad tycoons back then, and it's just odd that for some reason someone is posting anti-Henry Flagler propaganda. Yeah, just weird. Anyway, so now we do hit a closure here. So episode 41, we did Furnish Me Vintage. So they originally had a building and retail space on Central in the Edge District, across the street from Mercados, if you know where that's at. They sold that building a while ago, and they moved over to the Arts District over south of Central, kind of across the street from Three Daughters. And they have also since closed that location, and they have transferred up to Chattanooga. Now, it took them a while to get their Chattanooga space together, but I did actually see a post that they have their new retail space open in Chattanooga now. So lots of congratulations to Jackie for continued success with Furnish Me Vintage. If you're still looking for mid-century furniture, they are still an amazing place to go and get some Danish-styled furniture. Episode 42, we went to Thai Legacy with Michael and Nicole. It's a little bit of an interview episode, which was always a lot of fun. The main standout at Thai Legacy was the mango sticky rice as a dessert, which was excellent. One of the best I'd had in the area. They are still there and still doing mango sticky rice, so be sure to check them out if you are in the Brandon area. Next up, we interviewed Jimmy Murray. Jimmy Murray is still alive and well. Rumors of his death have been greatly exaggerated. So he's still around and kicking and doing his thing. Episode 45 was Podfest, which is a podcasters conference put on by Chris Krimitsos and company. So Chris hosts like the local podcasters meetup. It's been a while since I've been to a meeting, I apologize guys, but I do know that they are still an amazing group of people, and they are still putting on Podfest. They did it virtually a couple times, then there's been some smaller in-person things. Don't know the specifics on, but I did see that there was some in-person meetings as well. So, if you're interested in podcasting or anything like that, be sure to check out the Florida Podcasters Association, which is the local podcasting meetup. And then Podfest is the annual conference, and still going on. Episode 46, we talked about Keel and Curly, which is a winery and brewery over in Dover, if you know where Dover's at, which is basically just west of Plant City. So Dover's where I grew up, so man. But anyway, Keel and Curly, they do, they're a blueberry farm, and then they brew blueberry wines as well as blueberry themed beers, as well as just regular beers and stuff like that. They're still there. They still have a great dining area and beer tasting and wine tasting hall, so be sure to go there, check it out. Especially, we are getting into blueberry season here, so that's usually, I think, April is blueberry-ish season. Let's check it out. Episode 47, this one does kind of break my heart a little bit. So we went to Blake's Crab Cakes, and for those of you that missed it, you really missed out. So Blake's Crab Cakes were hands down the best crab cakes I'd ever had, similar to Brocados in that it was just a overwhelming amount of crab meat inside of the crab cake. So it was located out the end of Central Avenue, right before you hit the water there, a little strip mall on the left, but they are long gone. Sad to see you leave, Blake's. Definitely wish you'd come back, because I definitely miss those crab cakes. Episode 48, I interviewed the Bay Coast Guardians, which is our local hero/community assistance group, and they are still around, still doing their thing. I see social media posts from them every now and then, and it's definitely good to see them being out and being a positive impact in the community. Episode 52, which was the most recent episode prior to this, was the Replay Museum. So they are still there. They are still in business, obviously with COVID restrictions and hands-on arcade machines. Not quite as public or easy. I think they were having a mask requirement as well as limiting the number of people that could go inside. I don't want to tell you anything about the specific restrictions, because probably by the time you see this, that's already have changed. But they're still there. They still got plenty of pinball and arcade machines for you. And definitely lots of fun. Side note, the other pinball museum, which was located on Central Avenue close to Dog Bar, that one has closed. They were not able to sustain through COVID, which sad, losing pinball, always a bummer. Anyway, so that is the updates for all of the great places and great things that I've talked about on Great Things Tampa Bay. And you probably also noticed that the hair is a little longer than it used to be. That is also a result of COVID, those 3 or 4 months. And just figured, hey, why not grow it out a little bit? So leave me some comments, give me some responses. What is the one thing that you missed that is closed during COVID? For me, it's definitely going to be, so Blake's Crab Cakes, that was actually kind of pre-planned. He was already kind of planning on closing up shop there and moving on to something else. So, Blake, hope you're doing well. Still miss your crab cakes. So I did like M&M. I definitely like their sauces. I do think, Urban Brew was definitely a better barbecue, but M&M was nice because it was in a pinch. And I do miss stopping there and just picking up something on the way home. So definitely a little bummed that they're no longer there. But yeah, what's your thing that you're sad that's closed due to COVID or recently closed or changed? What do you wish would come back or would reopen? You can also probably tell have a little bit of a different studio going on here. So this is actually my downtown office at Keller Williams St. Petersburg, because I am also a realtor. So this is Great Things Tampa Bay, where I talk about all the great things, great people, and great places in the greater Tampa Bay area. And if you're interested in finding your own great place in Tampa Bay, I'd be happy to help you out. You can reach me at 813-323-7396. That is my telephone number. You can also send me an email, kyle@sassergroup.com, and links for all that is going to be down below. Other than that, thanks for tuning in. If you have some episode ideas or something you'd like to talk about, let me know. And other than that, I will talk to you soon.